Hello everyone, welcome back. So it's time for a new update. This past 3 months, well, if you lived in the Northern Hemisphere at least, you've seen quite a lot of things, especially surrounding the weather aspect. Well, what's behind this crazy weather thing? Because this has affected everything. So I was inclined to call this absurd or ridiculously absurd, but I might need it for later, so instead I'm just going to call it muddy waters, which is a good describer as well of the whole thing. So I'm going to actually start with this because, as I said, this was really major and has affected everything. People's moods, clarity, focus or lack of focus, the drinking, eating pattern, a lot of things have come to the surface with this whole thing, because it's not just bad things, it's also good things all intertwined and each pulling in different directions. So, well, I explained a few times in previous videos and updates and stuff like that, that there is this period of split, and this doesn't, it's not really short. I mean, at the universe scale, that's a minute or a second or less than a second. But here, obviously, it's a longer period and it has different phases, stages. And that's why sometimes it's more intense, sometimes it's a little bit more decent. And obviously now was another huge important phase throughout this month when obviously one could see that this weather that it was until now, that was not normal, that obviously there's a lot of manipulation of the weather, trying to stop certain things, and basically stealing the energy that allows us to expand further, faster actually, because as I said, the expansion cannot be stopped, but it can be delayed, and that's the thing. However, when I emphasize doing the work on self, is that thing that allows you to push through no matter what, no matter how hard it is. And at times it is really, really hard. Yes, so the weather. The weather has been like, if I were to compare it with, well, for me it's kind of like how it was the beginning of last year when I mentioned that there's going to be things like that coming forward, and it's like happening from now on. But energetically, one could feel, at least what I experienced was really intense, because it isn't anymore just about the cycles of life. Because, by the way, the planet has this cycle of accretion of energy. In the summer it's at its highest, was like when the temperature rises, when it decreases towards winter, because it stopped this like spiral. And then in the southern hemisphere, then, well, you have, that's why we have winter now, well, now spring in northern hemisphere, and now you have autumn, well, turning to autumn toward winter actually in southern hemisphere. So there is this cycle of accreting and allowing the energy to integrate. But it was more than just like, oh, it was winter, so it was less energy coming through. It was the energy that was stolen at some point, and that has affected a lot of things. In regards to the eating drinking pattern, the weather hasn't really affected me that much. I mean, the way I portion my week with the dry mode still is the same. I start with one day, 1.5 days, sometimes 2, like this week it happened, or sometimes it happened that I did more days in a row of dry mode, then consumed something, then went back again on dry mode, and then consumed again after a day, 1.5 days, or almost a day, and continue like that. Yes, I go out once or twice a week. I enjoy life as much as I can with the people in my life. I live my life. I do not put judgment anymore on doing those things, because that actually will stop the progress, what I need to do. because as I mentioned quite a few times, for me it's not just about that right now, and I'm interested more in cleaning all the garbage inside and actually see how many days of dry mode in a row I can have during a week. That it's not my priority anymore. I do it as a part of a bigger thing. So when I do this as part of a bigger thing, things look very different. And then I see that even this food, I mean, helps me to clear certain things, because I need to lower my energy in order to be pointed at certain things, so I can clear those things. Otherwise I cannot, because I explained to you, is like the body's trying, well, my energy system is moving into obviously at a higher rate, and then it needs to clear certain things. It will be stuck if I cannot clear things that are trapped at a lower energy point. So then I have to go back and clear those things. So it's a back and forth mechanism. So that's why I do not worry. I don't, for me, it's not important right now that, I mean, how many days in a row I stay dry. I do the best I can right now, but this is not really my priority. But however, things have changed. I'm not going to talk about all the things with the taste. I have said that so many times in other updates and other videos. However, throughout this time, yes, things have changed even more. Energetically, I feel like when I started this whole thing, when I would be in dry mode, I feel like I would be in a different reality, and then when I would consume, I would basically like come back here. However, now it feels like these two realities have merged, so to speak, and it doesn't feel like, I don't see that difference anymore in how I perceive reality when I'm like that or like here. So because I'm clearing here now, even when I eat, and then I'm clearing also when I don't eat, when I don't consume anything. So then I have a unified somehow reality field. They're starting to be constant, which is very nice. It's not anymore this like ups and downs, these things that sometimes are very annoying, especially when you have to do work, when you have to focus, and when you have to do things. However, these things occur because of changes, like how I said, regarding the weather, what's behind the weather, what is affecting all of us, because this, well, the thing that goes with the down spiral is trying to, well, is stealing energy, and this actually takes from our own energy from moving forward faster. And yes, being dry, clearing, that always helps. It really enables us to actually maintain a course, maintain the same direction, and push through, even if those things happen, and even if those things I feel like, oh, but I feel like I'm moving so slow, like I'm not making any progress. But we are making progress. It's just, it's so hard right now moving through this thing. So that's why it feels at times like this, like I feel like I'm still here. I mean, I haven't moved forward, which is not true. It's just an illusion. It's part of the whole, I told you, the whole distortion thing. Yeah, so I see progress, but I see it already at a different level. And this also is, as I said, right now it's conditioned by what's happening energetically in the background. And what else, what I saw that was really important was that because now I feel like my body generates more light, more energy, and obviously it thrives on that. At times when it's at its lowest, which happened quite a few times in this past 3 months, and one day in particular was the 7th of February. I'm going to insert here a few pictures of that day when it was really weird. It rained, it snowed, it was not gray, it was dark. It's like what you see is in the middle of the day and it feels like it's night outside. And not only that, but the energy, it's like I felt like I was disappearing. It's like I felt like how somebody's just turning off the light, and I'm like, I just disappear. It was a horrible feeling because you could see the struggle. It's like how the light is trying to push forward and somebody's trying to steal it away. And yeah, it was quite intense. So 7th of February was a really, really crazy day. Another thing that I experienced in this, well, actually right at the very beginning of this period of 3 months, I helped somebody do something, achieve something very important, which took a lot of energy, a lot of energy, which left me not just depleted, but on the floor basically for a few days. And I haven't been at such a low like energy resources, level in quite some time. And I got to experience again that level of anxiety, that high level of anxiety, of negative talk, of fear, of anxiety, and the negative, self-negative, this negative talk in my head. It was really horrible, and I could see even better now. It's like I could compare even better now what it is to actually have enough energy, also to clear enough, just to be at one level, and how things look like at this level. And honestly, because I clean, I could move back in energy quite fast. But I saw how horrible it is at that level, and I know that this is where most people still exist, and where those voices are very, very strong. And when you don't clean, then that just, you cannot see any way out. So that was another not just a confirmation, but it was like I could have now probably even more compassion towards how most people feel, but also for me it's even clear that if you don't do the work, you stay there, you see no light, you see no way out of that darkness. So that was another really interesting thing that I experienced. On the positive side, because it wasn't just all crazy and negative, on the positive side was the fact that I got also to experience, then after this like crazy, for instance, the 7th of February, when I said that things got really, really weird. After that, things got better, but I got to experience more and more that reality that I was talking about in the update from, I think, October last year. No, in January I was talking about what happened in October. So in the last update, I got to experience more and more this higher reality, and would come through everything in my life, to absolutely everything, and it was really, really wonderful. But then again, as I said, there were these fluctuations, and like things seem to disappear at some point, and then like come back again, then disappear again for a long time, and then again come back. So that was another thing. So that also I could see how much the level of energy in a certain reality or in one's energy system is available, how much it can affect one's experience, and what's available, what can be available. And that's why I insist doing the work always, always, always. So yes, that was also something very, very interesting. in terms of what needed to be clear this past 3 months as a theme, I would say this was judgment. Judgment of self and judgment of others. And not because I haven't worked on that until now, it's just I reached another plateau, and now deeper level were coming to the surface, and also translating certain situations in my life, which involve people close to me. Some situations that were quite unpleasant and brought a lot of ugliness forward, also in these people. Anyway, the thing is that through these interactions, I continue to clear and help these people to realize what is going on in themselves without blaming others or myself for their own hurt, pain, that it's still there, and it's like a filter that judges everything else, and me putting boundaries where I haven't done that in the past, and then made it more clear for them certain situation. Anyways, so the situations were solved, brought forward a lot of ugliness and that, but in the end actually brought a lot of good things with it as well, a lot of an opening, not just inside me but also inside them, and it helped them also move forward and have progress in their own life. But that was, as I said, possible by cleaning. That's what I did. I was cleaning for myself, but then again also for themselves, and ask them, it's like, you should start doing that as well, you know, because I can't do that for you. I have my own things to deal with. And this brought more realizations, more wonderful things, and made this reality even more ridiculous and less real. And it brought me again into that space of a lot of the times I would just, it's like reality would disappear, and I would just see the language, the code. It's like you have an image, like on a website, you see the beautiful images, and that's the display, but behind it, it's the code. And the same would happen to me. I would be whatever in the world, in my life, and out of nowhere, my reality basically would turn to the code part, and I would see that, and I would understand that from that level, which is sometimes it's funny, but sometimes it's not really, because it makes this reality even less real. So I feel less inclined to play, so to speak, certain games of life, so to speak. I don't know if this makes sense to you, but for me it does. So yes, this was also very, very important, judgment, and it's, by the way, it's very important to get rid of all of that. By the way, not that judgment in the end that has been something bad, because this was necessary in this reality. It was a tool to survive. It was something that we were taught by our families, societies, cultures, our cultures and stuff like that. And so in order for us to adapt and to be able to survive in this jungle we call world. But now, to move forward, we have to move past it, and that can only happen with the work. Without it, you can't. So that was also something very important. Another interesting thing that, well, my actually husband experienced, but for me was confirmation of certain things. So one day he came late from work. Well, he called me and he told me that he's coming late and he's really tired, had a really busy day. And I said, be careful when you drive home. It was snowing, it was weird. Anyway, so he came home and he looked a little bit confused, and I said, what's going on? And he said, it's like, I'm not quite sure what just happened. what happened? And he said that on his way home, he saw a few things which weren't very clear. Well, he wasn't sure that actually he saw them. It's like, what did you see? Well, the first time it's like I was driving past a bunny, but the bunny wasn't a bunny. It was like a present. And then I drove a little further, and then on the right side of the road I saw a deer. But we have, by the way, we have all these animals around here where we live. But then again, this like wasn't really a deer, it was like a present, and then disappeared. And then I drove a little further, and then I saw, it was late, so it was nobody basically on the streets. It was like, and then I saw a person, but then again this person disappeared. It wasn't like a person, it was a present. And then I came to the intersection, and then I saw this boulder, this stone, big stone, and then it just turned into light, and then it disappeared. And then I finally arrived home. And it made me smile, because I know that for him wasn't just it meant two things. By the way, my husband is open to all these things that I'm talking about, what I experienced. He also has done certain things, he also has certain experience, but not at my level, not because he still has his own limitation that he needs to overcome, and he's in an environment where, well, these things are a little bit too much. Anyway, so this was for him protection, because I always envisioned my friends, family, basically everyone to be safe and sound, whatever they are and whatever they're doing. And this was actually protection, because he was really, really tired. He said, it's like I felt like how my eyes were closing, and this actually helped me to stay awake. And another confirmation that hey, you know, this is not the reality, is not just what you see, it's more than just that. And it was funny how still he was like fighting what he just experienced, although he's open about a lot of things, but he still is uncertain and questions a lot of things. It's like, maybe it wasn't nothing, it was just me. And it was just like, well, if you want to believe that, then that's what's going to happen. But obviously you're being shown certain things, so you little by little dissolve all this barrier around your mind that blocks certain awareness, a higher awareness. Yeah, so I thought that was just an interesting thing to share with you. On the portal day in March, that was on the 3rd of March, two interesting things happened that day and night, I would say. I was getting ready for bed. It was just before I cleared a lot before that, so I could not wait to just like crash and just like let this dissolve while I'm sleeping. I mean, out of my system. But I couldn't go to sleep because I had a lot of energy. And then this idea started to loop inside my head. And all of a sudden I hear it's like, get out of that. And it's like, now. Okay. It's like, stop the loop. And it's as if like on command, I pressed stop. And then that idea stopped. The loop stopped. And it's like, then I was shown this, like, for the first time I was finally being able to work with this like looping mechanism consciously, not just like to let an idea, okay, let it run its course, because sometimes these ideas have a certain number of times when they do that. But the looping mechanism here is in general to create the illusion of like continuum, that it's a continuum, that whatever you see doesn't disappear in the next second. At the same time, this is the mechanism through which distortion enforces all sorts of negative and other things, beliefs, patterns, so keeps them in place, running in in this matrix inside oneself and stuff like that. So it was very interesting to like be shown and be able to finally step out of that consciously. It's like, okay, like just like that, fine, okay, and it stopped. So that's very interesting about the looping of ideas. The other thing happened later, and this was an upgrade that happened as a dream. Sometimes it happens as well as that, like that. And in this dream I was kind of like back in my hometown. It looked different. It was kind of like after a war, I don't know, something like that. It was very, very different, and people were sick left and right, and I would see tents everywhere, which is unusual. It doesn't look like that. But anyway, so this was like a different reality. So everyone was sick, and then I look at myself, and my hand was swollen. I said, oh, my fingers are infected. And then I saw this medical tent where everyone was going in for help. And I was kind of like reluctant to go in because I didn't want to get, I don't know, add more infection or other weird things. But I was like asked to go there and get help. And when I got there, I was offered some injections, like, oh no, I don't want any vaccine, no, don't give me any crap and stuff like that. I said, no, these are not vaccines, these are some vitamins. Okay, I have nothing against vitamins. And I got that injection. By the way, I told you that I get stung a lot, and not just like in the dream, but being conscious. I don't want to go too much in details, but let's just say a lot of things happen like that, for clearing purposes and moving forward. So I was given that. When I woke up, I was feeling great. I had a lot more energy, and I felt this like expansion, and then I could deal with other things that I needed to clear, and like big chunks were just taken out of my energy system, and that was just another thing that I felt moving forward really like a lot through that thing. So yeah, sometimes these upgrades happen in a very unusual way. In terms of upgrades, it wasn't just on the 3rd of February, on 3rd of March when it happened, only then. I mean, on the 11th of March as well was another big day when a lot of energy was being pumped, a lot of work being done inside me, and was followed by an elimination, a physical elimination that happens. I explained in previous videos, updates. Was a big one. Yes, when certain things need to leave the body, then this happened. A physical elimination, I mean. Something else would be that now when I read a piece of wisdom, which happens quite rarely because I have to be present to receive this thing inside directly, but when I do read, especially those that have the most light, the most truth in them, the original light, it's not anymore, as I said, that intellectual understanding. I'm immersed inside them. The words become alive, and I'm thrown inside, and I experience the words, which is an experience. It's like a network of things. I explained that. I just see a lot of networks. So this also happens. It's like, and it puts a smile on my face because I know that most people don't have that, and they just get so hung up on certain words instead of like allow those things to open inside you and let them show you the magic. You have to be thrown inside to allow that magic to be revealed to you. So a lot of that happens, and this is how a lot of things happen, how things are being revealed to me in general. I'm thrown inside things. Another thing that I would say it's a positive and has changed in this past 3 months toward the end is that now I can actually Before that, I was actually doing a lot of Qigong, and one of my favorite practices was the 5 elements. I resonated the most with that. In the beginning I didn't know why, but now I know why. But now, because of all this clearing and all this wonderful shifts that happened, this has like as the words, they come alive, or this practice comes alive, and I just become one with the movements, and I'm being revealed the true essence behind these movements and what you can do with them. So this is also like a new chapter, a new exploration that I am enjoying right now. It's not anymore about like how much you do something or whatever. It's like what you can do with that, where to use it, and basically to have that experience, to understand the magic of those things. It's not anymore just a mechanical exercise that you have to do in order to, I don't know, at some point feel something or have a realization. No, it's not about that at all. It's the same way as I was explaining with, I think also in the previous update, about me playing with the mudra, like for B12 or something like that. And now I would see that how powerful these things have become, or more like now it's alive, that this exercise or this thing, because inside myself there is more space and there is more light. So now those things can be activated and can be accessed for what they are, and not just some dead thing that we repeat or do just to do those things. No. So that's what I'm experiencing. More and more things, they become alive for me. I experience them as alive. Everything is alive. And then you realize that most of things around you and people and things are dead, like Walking Dead. And that's the sad thing, because most people are trapped in certain patterns. They don't realize those patterns, and those patterns trap their consciousness, their power, their creativity, absolutely everything. Yes, so I would say that that's also a positive in this past 3 months, that I'm finally able to like play with it, because it kind of like throughout the past year it was impossible for me to do that because of all these things that I needed to clear. And it's like, no, now you stay with this, you do this work, you do not run away. It's like, okay, and you just do that, because without doing that you cannot move forward and you cannot access other things. So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'm still doing. That's why I said my priorities are not necessarily anymore just like how many days in a row I can stay dry. If I'm not meant to do that now, in order for me to have better results for the whole thing, that I'm supposed to clear and do this and pay attention to certain things, that's what I will be doing. Nothing else. Oh, sorry if you hear any noises. I'm sorry, just I have noisy neighbors. And obviously thin walls. Anyways, so that's what I have been doing this past 3 months. I hope this was interesting. Yeah, see you next time. Ciao. Hunger for love, to live from that thing.